Hello, my name is David Bratteli. I'm the product manager, the food developer, and resourcer for Dugur Kantiner. The title for my presentation is Who are the customers? And I'm presenting the customer section. My background is 13 years as a restaurant chef, basically doing mostly in Norway restaurants and hotels, but also worked in China and France. Another important influence is touring 10 years through Europe as an underground musician, visiting community houses, spaces, and squats, performing and eating and sleeping in the same community. From this, I've learned and taken ideas from how they were self sufficient, how they did their social eating, how they did their green menus, and basically feeding everybody on nothing. This was a great influence for me, and it's also a part of our product plan today. Today I've run Dugur. It's an 8-year-old project where we went in and take over taboo staff canteens, throwing out half-fabricate and canned food habits, taking away plastic trays and one-time single packets, changing it into modern open community restaurants, and giving them green menus with local ingredients, and making it into a social eating spot, serving many with the same menu in season. Um, in 2017, we did a collaboration with Will Nicholson, where we, for 3 months, worked on reducing our carbon footprints. This resulted in winning the Matprisen by debut also in 2017 as the most sustainable and organic company. I would like to start to present you to our collaborators, which is a very, very important part of our product. We have 11 farms that we collaborate with in season, and all of them are within 1 hour radius of Oslo. I would like to run through the farms. So we start with our main farm, Lindestad Farm in Ås, giving us potatoes, corns, pumpkin, squash, garlic, kale, turnips, Jerusalem artichokes, and so on. We also have a very good connection with Heinrich Jung in Elverum, which gives us the best cauliflower, broccoli, carrots, kale, Savoy, and also support us with whole pork. We have Fokol Farm, giving us parsnips, carrots, onions, and salad. We have Bergsmyrene Farm, very close to Oslo, also providing us with salad and wild garlic. We have Gromvik, just outside Askim, which supplies us with apples, gooseberries, aronia, and farm eggs. We have 2 cheese farms, which provides us, and it is Prestholt and Torbjørnrud, providing us with the Norwegian mozzarella and other cheeses. We have Halstenshovn Farm, which gives us pork, and we have Fjærestad Farm in Vikja Sogn, who gives us also organic lamb. We have Sølve Salte, who gives us eggs, grains, and corn. And a very small farm in Drabak called Eiketoppen, which every second year provides us with honey and hops. Also inside the city, we collaborate with Tåsen Microgreens, and we have a delivery twice a week with microgreens and herbs from them, grown in the basement of Landbrukets Hus, which is very close to our restaurants. Next to this, we have 2 urban gardens which we provide ourselves. One is at Skøyen and one is at Tjuvholmen, providing us basically with berries and flowers and so on, like sea buckthorn, aronia, squash flowers, cucumber flowers, and dill. These are very important collaborators. Inside the city, we also collaborate with other restaurants. For example, Rimnir, which is David Quist's project. We have a great collaboration on indoor growing of shiitake. We have inside a container, we're growing both shiitake and maitake. They're also making noodles for us because they have a fantastic noodle machine, making noodles out of Norwegian products. Uh, we also collaborate on ferments like garum and miso, often made by bycatches, like squid, like Norwegian squid. Uh, a very important project inside Dugur is making our own miso, and we have our own miso maker. It's called Yngve Hilmo, trained by myself. He is every year producing 380 kilos of homemade miso, both shiro miso and barley miso. These are processed in our basement and can be fermented up to a year. This gives us a fantastic bonus in umamis in vegetable dishes. Creating seasonal menus and leading the customer into eating them every day is a very important part of my job. It's, the system we use is making 5-week intervals with 4 daily dishes, changing every day. And after 3 months, we change these 5-week intervals. Using this system, it gives a great variety for the customer and also a great overview on being seasonal and forecasting the orders in triggering into the right days. This is a great help for us being sustainable. As you know, Norway has a very short season and it's very hard for our local production to have an all year same quality. This is why we use a lot of conservation techniques to extend the season in Norway. We use conservation techniques as pickling, curing, smoking, drying, and also different types of fermentation. One of our tricks is also at Linnestad farm we have a dirt cellar that supplies us with potatoes, root vegetables and some pumpkins the whole winter, so that we get around the season with still with being local. It's very important to collaborate with the farmers on this, and every February I go out to some of the farms making sow plans and forecasts before they order in the seeds, so they can also plan their season from May to November already in February. And this is a very important part of our cooperation. It's also very important that you are dynamic in your menus. You have some open slots because things happen and the season changes, and you can also have unforeseen things like heavy rainfall that takes away all your potatoes or Jerusalem artichokes for a week. So you need to be dynamic when you actually cooperating local like this. Another important part of reducing the carbon print is the transport, and we always have one transport into the city, but and here we use Dagens Mat and dyrket.no, which are allying the transport into the city, combining with other restaurants inside the city, making it as low carbon footprinted as possible. But that's into the city borders, and for one address, the more difficult thing is taking it the last mile, bringing it from the hub it's been delivered and out to all of the restaurants. We have 10 different places it needs to be distributed. In this system we use bikes, and I use a company called Hast, H-A-S-T, a Norwegian modern company which is super efficient and transports all the local ingredients the last mile into the kitchens. It's a very important part. As for inspiration in all of this, it's also one of my very important jobs. For myself, I've taken inspiration from famous chefs as Magnus Viken on how to extend seasons, how to ferment and conserve, and how to use local resource and be self-sufficient. And this is a Swedish chef. I also have I'm very inspired by a Danish chef called Christian Puglisi, and he inspires me how to absolutely use everything, how to do transporting inner city, and how to do modern vegetarian cooking. Both very important inspirations for me. But one of my most important job is giving inspiration to my chefs who's doing the daily cooking. This is very important for them to understand what kind of delicacies is coming inside their door every day and how to treat it with respect. This craves that they are totally informed at all times from which farm things are coming from and how much work it is behind actually picking and transporting these delicacies into the kitchen. We also very important to make signature dishes that comes around once in a while, so people can have something familiar, and also the chefs have something familiar to create the product. It's also very important to challenge the chefs, because we are using all the restaurant chefs, really skilled people. They need really nice recipes and also a challenge to not get bored at work. This is why every time we change the menu, I do show and tells with the chefs. We go visiting the farms, and we even work there for a day or two, just to get the feeling of how close everything is related. We also do food courses on how to minimize food waste and so on. This brings me to the last point, which is how important it is also to showcase the product for the customers. You also need to inform and inspire the customers who are eating, for them to understand and choose today's selection. It's very important to tell the whole story behind where everything is coming from. I use a lot of time on this. For example, one project I had was filming ice tap turnip from Linnestad. I did it with a time-lapse camera, and after time-lapsing the whole growth, I put it on a 5-day program and put it on the screen inside the restaurant, giving people the chance to see it grow next to the place they were eating. And at day one, nobody was paying attention to it. At day two, people were like gathering around, getting interested in what this was. Day three was really gathering around the screen, and people were acknowledging it. Day four, people were starting to push me, and actually day five, when we served the dish with ice tap turnip, it just went bananas, and we sold 3,000 portions in under a half an hour. It was crazy. So this is a kind of an idea of how to showcase and give the customer insight in how much work we put behind these dishes, and giving them the understanding and hunger to eat them. It's a very, very important thing. Another project would be, it's together with my friend Christopher Rodriguez, we are building green rooms inside of our restaurants. These green rooms are not supplying the restaurant entirely, but it gives a feeling of a green cost, and it really helps us with small salads, turnips, and gives some assets, but it's not big scale enough to feed everybody. Right now it's only meant for a green inspiration and a feeling. We are also displaying the vegetables when they are coming, putting them out in a restaurant, sending out newsletters to all people, and really putting a lot behind showcasing the product. So this is all I had for this presentation. In the future, I hope to collaborate more in the city with urban cultivators. We need to take away the transport and think more locally. And I hope this has inspired you to contact me with another idea of how to or an asset to our production. Thank you very much.